my dear friend Brian Burke. We are from the law firm of Sam Shihab and Associates, and we are going to go through a presentation today or a discussion about current immigration matters. As a matter of fact, this week is a critical week for immigration law on a massive proportion. But before we go there, we need to probably let you know that we are immigration attorneys, and we are with the law firm of Sam Shihab and Associates. We are an immigration practice. And between Brian and myself, we got not exactly 40 years, about 35 years in immigration law experience. And happy to give you...
growing, Sam, every day.
Yes. And we have a fantastic team of many attorneys that are here in the office with great experience and knowledge. Without delay, there's a couple critical things we want to talk about. The first thing is we're going to talk about Chat with Charlie. His last session was day before yesterday?
The 26th, so I think it was Tuesday last week.
Yes, and he has retired. I personally wish him the best of luck. I think he's done a fantastic job. 40 years, he said?
You know, he looks good for a guy who's been working for the Department of State for 43 years, I think he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
40 years, 43 years of service. That's amazing. He's done a great job. He has an excellent reputation of being very fair. He's done the best he can. There's a lot of things beyond his control, so don't kill the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, as they say. He's done a fantastic job. I certainly wish him the best, and I thank him for all the effort he's done throughout the years in supporting immigrants and immigration law and helping the immigrant community achieve the American dream. Without delay, we're going to also talk about the Senate reconciliation bill. If the current employment-based and family-based immigration, legal immigration bill goes through, it might be the most significant piece of immigration legislation in 30 years. It is massive in impact, and we're going to go through one other session today and discuss it. And then we have an announcement to make to you here in shortly about what we're going to be doing to keep you up to date, because a lot of things are going to be developing very quickly. With Chat with Charlie, Mr. Burke, he's done he put a PowerPoint presentation this time.
I saw, yeah.
Was very impressive, and he showed some numbers and so forth. But we have some clips to show and go through certain things. Obviously, no surprises. I think he's been a little bit more consistent. He was a little bit defensive on the his flip-flopping on retrogression, trying to explain it to the best of his ability.
Yeah.
We're not going to pick on him.
I'm choosing to be on Team Charlie today. And he said at the beginning of his presentation, he's overseen the immigration of more than 9 million people immigrating to the United States.
Yes.
I'm an immigration attorney, so that sounds pretty good to me.
Yes, and he is really he's a caring person.
We're going to see a little bit about how. First of all, you can tell he's just beaming when he says 9 million people under my watch.
Yes.
So there's that. But we have a couple clips from Charlie, and we're going
to break them down and discuss them and make it easy for you to understand.
Well, we're going to start with the some of the painful news. Ultimately, Charlie confirms for us the wastage numbers. How many employment-based green cards were wasted last year? Let us take a look real quick.
Sure.
Okay, and let's see. Will the 80,000 unused visa numbers from last year be considered for this year?
Actually, there were only about 62,000 unused employment numbers. Immigration, their increased processing efforts, which ultimately resulted in the retrogression of the India and China third preference dates for this year. Their efforts allowed more numbers to be used than we expected. Those unused 62,000.
So, and his rationale is that they've approved, because obviously the reduction in numbers didn't go directly towards the most retrogressed, because they're saying, well, they approved other countries, which caused some of it. And then there's people who are debating his numbers and challenging him, saying it's 80,000. Well, it doesn't matter. The numbers are the numbers.
Well,
They're wasted. A bunch of them are wasted. They shouldn't be wasted. Too bad, but that's what we have.
well, yeah, apparently I'm in an optimistic mood. We were hearing, 80,000 all through the last couple months of the last fiscal year. Charlie's number was shrinking. And I guess I'm not tipping my hat to Charlie. I'm tipping it to USCIS. They exceeded Charlie's expectations. I mean, I was hearing numbers as high as, I think it was 110,000 he was starting at, what he expected to see wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, kind of underlines Charlie's perpetual issue he has. It's the data he's getting from USCIS. He can only operate upon what he had at a given time, and he was hearing their approval rates and he was sort of projecting based upon that, but they sped up.
Yeah, I mean, he's not running for office.
Yeah.
He has no reason to give information that's not accurate.
Yeah.
And he's reporting other people's numbers. Like his office has no control over the wastage.
Yeah.
So if he's saying it's 62,000 or maybe 75,000, he's giving data. He's reporting data. It is not something he controls.
It's not his job to say, I don't trust your data, guys.
Yeah, he just reports it. So it's a wonderful outlet. I wish USCIS would have a weekly chat with USCIS.
Yeah.
It will be very helpful, right?
I don't know if I'd like the comment section on that.
Well, but it may help bridge that tension, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That will be very helpful.
So Charlie also, so there's what's wasted, but there's what's new to the employment-based categories based upon a rollover from the other categories, and I think it's a nice number to hear. So let's check what we got.
Okay, sounds good.
I understand. I understand that there continues to be some uncertainty with what the fiscal year 2022 limits might be based on potential legislative efforts. That being said, do you have any information regarding what fiscal year 2022 family and employment annual limits will be?
Yes, the family annual limit will remain at 226,000. It has been at that level for over the past almost 2 decades, and without legislative changes, I don't foresee any change in that annual limit. The employment annual limit for fiscal 2022 will be approximately 280,000. I had earlier been projecting that it might be as high as 290,000, but overseas processing of family cases during the month of September utilized more of the family numbers than expected.
Okay, 280,000.
Yeah, that's
How much of that going to be wasted? So they approved last year 170,000, I think, overall issued green cards. To I now wasted 80,000. I'm assuming we're coming out of COVID now. They're ramped up and ramping up, and also they have a whole year notice. There was no surprise.
Yeah.
So would they be able to hit that 280,000?
That's a far reach from the 170 they processed, and they're only human beings on the other end.
And if you listen to Charlie carefully this time, he was a little bit more relaxed. Clearly, I mean, he did say, I have discretion. I have discretion in how I do the numbers, and I try to do it in favor of the beneficiaries or the immigrant community as much as I can within my ability. So that's the check mark. So it's not like black and white. There's a lot of wiggle room in his priority date selection. And then he also mentioned that he really puts in consideration USCIS's ability to handle cases. So he will not move it if USCIS cannot handle it. And that is not a good use of discretion.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not picking on him, but that's a common outline. And that's not a good use of discretion. You cannot use discretion. Can you handle this workload? No, let me pull back the visa bulletin a little bit so you can handle the workload.
Well,
No.
see, you're stopping for. Let me pull back. It's not just pull back the visa bulletin. Let me pull back somebody's ability to file a case earlier. Somebody's kid's ability to get a green card. If they're going to age out. That's what really gets me.
And then we're going to be talking about visa recapture.
Yeah. So that's
And the conversation you and I had the other day about, oh, wow, we're recapturing all the visas lost since 1992. We're not. we're not reversing the
Yeah.
negative impact. What about these children that aged out for the delay after delay? You are not going to undo that, never. And that's really a terrible thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right, so Charlie tells us 280,000 for this fiscal year. Great news. USCIS, please get on the ball, get them approved. I think they've tried hard. I think with the new administration coming in and jumping in a mess and just reacting in the way they've reacted, I think they've done a good job. I think next year we're going to be able to probably do a little bit better than 170,000 approvals, maybe get to 240, 250, maybe wastage 20 or 30,000, or maybe none.
Well, every time I've been at a USCIS office lately, I ask them, busy around here, and they say yes, very, very much. I try to poke them in prod, and they seem to think they're busier than normal, so that's good.
Well, busier than normal is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I need results.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Perfect. Sounds good. Do you have anything else about Charlie for us?
Oh yeah. I don't know. There's the EB2, EB3 movement.
So he gave us a little bit about EB2 projection.
Yeah.
And EB3 projection.
Yeah.
You want to jump on the EB2 projection?
Let's jump on the EB2. We don't have to show all of our clips, but definitely this is a good one, relevant to what people are really talking about right now. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
In the employment employment second preference for both China and India, I expect that for December, the dates will be probably advancing a couple of months, and then that the movement will likely continue at a possibly slower pace as we enter the new calendar year, while we see the impact of the forward movement of those dates during the first quarter. But again,
all right. So a couple months and then moving about a couple months.
Yeah.
I got to put Charlie on double speed when we're playing this too for everybody. He speaks. I would like to speak a little bit faster.
Well, you want me to do it, Sam? You understand what I say. So pretty straightforward. EB2 a couple months in December, and EB2 is going to keep on creeping ahead a couple months at a time.
Okay. And then we're not going to play the EB3 movement. I think he said EB3 not movement in the foreseeable future.
Yeah. So,
which is kind of, as a matter of fact, I have this wonderful lady I was talking to today.
I would have preferred that Charlie was the bad news messenger on that one rather than you, Sam. But
yes, well, I was talking to her because she was doing following to join, and the visa retrogress. So we're looking at other options for her right now. As a matter of fact, we have maybe figured out a solution finally.
So we have one more bit of Charlie, and I think it makes a good segue into our next topic. Charlie talked a little bit about, Charlie's on the way out the door. He can't get fired at this point. Charlie gave a little bit of commentary on potential legislation.
And he didn't say the name of the legislation, but we believe it's the Meng Amendment.
Part of the DHS preparation bill.
The one that stops the flow over, which basically penalizes employment-based for the benefit of family-based. And it is not what he says, it's how his face is, will tell you how he feels about it.
Oh, I think what he says. What he says? Yeah, I watched the clip just 5 minutes ago. I think what he says is
as well.
Yeah, I mean,
but for me, it's the facial expression. But let's play it.
Well, yes.
If by any chance there were legislative actions which impacted that fall across provision, then the amount of employment numbers would be drastically reduced, and it could have extremely negative impact. If we didn't have the 280,000 limit and we were subject to a 140 limit, there would be final action dates established for all of the categories that are currently have a current status.
That's so for me is when he did his face like this.
Yeah,
it tells you that he absolutely does not like it.
Well, I mean, early in this presentation, Charlie boasts that he's responsible for 9 million immigrants, and he refers to a theoretical bill that would take away the employment backlog. He's referring to the Meng Amendment as part of the DHS appropriations bill. It's got to be.
Yeah, well, obviously, this is the only one that kills the crossover.
Yeah, so Sam, look at this. We're talking about visa recapture bills, or in the case of that one, one that doesn't really do much for employment folks.
We are at an amazing moment in history this week. Guys, somewhere, I mean, if the Meng amendments fail and the House reconciliation bill goes through and gets adopted, we may be at a 30-year moment right now.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah.
And no, you don't think 30 years?
No, I was just thinking whether I'm just trying to think of how often these moments happen in immigration. Think about
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Last time was 86.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
If I remember correctly. So 86. Do the math.
Okay.
34 years.
86. That's more like more than that. Yeah.
So that's the last time there was a major. I mean, obviously, there are going to still. I haven't seen it in writing, which is Plan C for the undocumented. They're going to run it by the parliamentarian and get her opinion, which is paroling all the undocumented for 8-year period. Then they have not ran the employment piece by the parliamentarian because they don't want to overwhelm her. And I think from our perspective, it's good that they haven't done it yet. Let her say no for the third time. It's going to be hard for her to say no for the fourth time.
Well, again, we talked about this in the past. There is precedent for visa recapture in a reconciliation or in a reconciliation bill,
and it's been done before without a problem.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we are going to do something very special here, and we are going to be if they're saying that the vote might happen on Thursday this week. So Thursday this week could be the day that maybe virtually, practically 1/3 of people waiting for a priority date can officially have visa available if that legislation passes, because we know that the Senate has to consider that next.
Yeah.
But that's a very important step. So we're going to be watching it here, and we are going to go on a special session. Okay. Brian and I.
You're going to drag me out a bit. What happens if it's one of those late night Congress sessions?
So if it passes midnight, we may just do a short.
Okay.
Quick short. The short was 6. We've never done it before. They say less than 60 seconds, and give a quick update and post it for you guys, and not want to see us in my pajamas or Brian in his pajamas. But until midnight on Thursday, if it passes, we're going to go on a 15-minute session to break down what happened. Yeah. So if you haven't subscribed, this is the moment to subscribe, because you want to get that notification and get in with us on Thursday night. And if it passes, we're going to pop open the champagne, because definitely it's a fantastic step in the right direction.
If it's Thursday night, if it's going to be late, I'm going to pop out the coffee and
I'm not going to have coffee at 11 o'clock.
Sam, if they approve this bill, I'm going to be wired anyway, so the coffee's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So. Let's want to talk about the numbers, the specific numbers they have for us.
Let's go over the numbers, and then let's go over a section that we haven't talked about yet, which is our favorite section. We will touch it next.
I got a nice PowerPoint slide for us here. So this is a chart presented, put together by the Cato Institute. It's a think tank that sort of explains something we've been trying to wrap our heads around for a while, the various visa recapture bills and how they impact visa availability. And the three right here in the middle, reconciliation bill high, reconciliation bill mid, and reconciliation bill low, that's kind of what we're thinking about. So
that's second row, third row, and fourth row. Yeah.
Oops, clicked ahead once. So, I mean, their mid-range estimate for the visa reconciliation bill is 225,000. That's almost 2 years worth of employment-based quota made available. And the high end, even better, is 416,000 visa bills available.
So what's the difference between these numbers?
So so there's some ambiguity, every resource I've read in the bill, is whether or not what you can recapture includes a rollover. So imagine a year, every year there's 140,000 employment-based green card allocation, right? And let's say in that year there's a rollover of 30,000 from the family-based category. So that for the year makes 170,000 employment-based green cards available. The question is, what do you recapture? Do you recapture? Now, let's say they issue 130,000 employment-based green cards that year, right? So the question is, do you recapture the difference between 130,000 and 140,000? They know the legally available from that category, so 10,000, or do you recapture the entire availability, the difference between what was issued and the employment-based quota plus the rollover from the family quota from the year prior? And that's kind of the difference. And ultimately, your question, it's a bit of open for interpretation, and one hopes that if the administration you're dealing with goes for the higher numbers, because you know what, Sam, you took away that chart. I'm going to put it back for a second again.
Absolutely.
Because on the top thing on there is the U.S. Citizenship Act, the high end, what they're anticipating. This is kind of what the reconciliation bill recapture is closely reflects, and that's as drafted as originally it's the White House's pet bill, and it's kind of what what this is all based upon. Of their recapture was 578,000 for employment. So,
well, hopefully by the time the final bill is drafted, this ambiguity is resolved, because what's going to happen is once the act is passed by the House, it needs to go back, and then the Senate will pass their own version, and then they have to go to a committee to reconcile them, and they have to vote on them again.
Yeah,
the second time.
They have to agree upon
on the differences, right? Usually it's minor differences, and then it goes to the president for signature. And once the president signs it, it becomes a law. If the president turns it down, it can be overwritten by veto, but the president's going to sign it. We know that a lot of his signature proposals are in the bill. Once that's done, then it goes into, they have to publish regulations. Now, not all the time do they publish regulations.
Yeah, I mean, this just kind of expands upon the law as it is. Here's the availability of visas.
AC-21 took them decades.
20 years. We didn't get until 2017.
To publish
from
regulations.
1999 or so, yeah.
To publish regulations. So hopefully it's clear, because if it's not clear, then some of that stuff may have to go to court for interpretation, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what's dancing around in my head. How long is it going to take for them to roll that out? Great if they pass this law, it makes the visas available. But am I going to see them on that same month, or am I going to see them on the next visa bulletin, or what?
Well, and how are you going to see it? Not only when, in what form? Were they going to say, all right, so everybody get filed an adjustment? Because I mean, obviously they cannot handle.
Oh, I mean,
the workload.
You guys can keep on sending us good questions and all that stuff. But I mean, I know some of you guys waited absolutely forever on getting adjustment of status receipt notices for cases filed in October 2020. And imagine in this scenario where you get 140,000 visas plus an additional 200 mid-range 225,000 visas available all at once. USCIS will be crushed. They won't be able to fit these in their warehouse. Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. And it's pretty crazy if this thing goes through, because it's really going to create an amazing opportunity for us. I'm so excited. You gave it 90% last time.
I'm feeling pretty good about that. Where are you at, Sam?
I was at 70%.
You were at 70%. Where are you at now?
70%.
You're at 70%? Okay.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I oscillate between 65 and 70.
There's always a possibility for this to absolutely explode in a bad way.
I mean, this is massive if it passes, and I'll be so happy for everybody. And it is about Congress trying to finally start doing the right thing. There was some information that obviously we were looking at how the student population from Asia has dropped significantly in the U.S. in the last 5 years, and how the student population in Canada has almost doubled in the last 5 years. So as immigration from Asia engineers to Canada has significantly increased, and how it's start to decrease in
Yeah, it was
in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that's really sad. And people like Elon Musk that came in on H-1B visa. I don't want the next Elon Musk to be in coming to Canada. So
It's cold there.
I'm really happy. Well, yes. Well, a lot of them end up coming here anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that we are heading in the right direction for.
I mean, I can't help but predict a boom.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to people who get who are still here and get discouraged.
I am not hearing any opposition from the Democrats on the. I mean, there's I think a couple senators who have said they're not comfortable with it, but you need 100% of the Democrats to be on board because 0 Republicans are going to vote for this bill. But there has not been a whole lot of push. I mean, every time I go in and every article I read in the national news about the reconciliation bill, first thing I do on the computer is do Control F, immigration, because I don't want to read 10 pages every time. I want to read the immigration piece. And I haven't seen any discussion on immigration.
There is very, very few things I've read upon the subject of the legal immigration. And we were both reading a really great article today. And who I usually read if I want to hear the takes on immigration stuff, I like reading the Center for Immigration Studies. Those folks don't like immigration very much, but it's a great place to find information about the things I'm interested in.
Right.
What they're upset about makes me go, yeah.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So this is great news. So we're going to talk about Section 6003 and
60, is it 60? Yeah. What? Yeah.
60,003.
That's a lot of sections,
Thank
man.
you. 60,003. We talked last time about Section 60,002, which is the recapture provisions. We're going to talk about a very exciting Section 60,003 today, and then take some questions.
So yeah, this I didn't think this was going to go anywhere. It's the $5,000 super fee. It's the fee you pay the government to pull aside the red velvet rope and let you in the VIP line.
Premium processing.
Premium. It's really what it is.
It is premium. Yeah, it is premium processing. Obviously, I mean, I don't want to put it in a negative way, but at least in the West, to skip line, there's a legal process to skip the line. In certain countries, they have different names for it, and usually not the government that gets the money. The government employees get the money, but not the government. So, but here in the U.S., we're entrepreneurial. We're a capitalistic society. There is a fee for anything, and we have created, this bill will create another fee to skip the line.
Skip the backlog. Provided if your priority date's more than 2 years old, you can pay a $5,000 fee, file for adjustment, and skip the line.
Now, do you get also the green card, or do you file for adjustment and wait?
Everything I'm reading says you skip the line. It is you ignore the numerical limitations.
So, I mean, to me, there's going to be skipping the line to another line. Everybody's going to pay the $5,000.
Yeah, who wouldn't pay the $5,000?
So you're skipping. So now you have a long line and another little bit less long line.
Yeah.
But if you can file the adjustment, I'm okay.
Filing the adjustments. So, I mean, I'm gonna make the pitch to your person who's sitting abroad somewhere and thinking about coming to the United States and is dour about the immigration lines. Okay, so you find an employer who's willing to sponsor you from the date of that I-140 filing, that big sponsorship bit. In 2 years, you're able to file for adjustment status, a green card, and 6 months from there, you have an employment authorization, which you can use to work for anybody in the United States indefinitely, and you're just waiting for your green card approval.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds like, honestly, it sounds like not so far off from the time frames. I know people have immigrated to other countries. How long it took them to immigrate, to Canada, for example, a couple of years, reasonable.
Right. Especially if you're talented and capable. Obviously, they're not making any substantive change to the immigration law. You have to go through the labor certification problem, go through the I-1 process, and go through the I-140.
That can drag out for a while, obviously.
Yeah, but at least this massive backlog, which has hindered this country's ability to stay competitive. I'm looking at software releases. I'm looking at things, and I'm seeing a lot of countries now coming out with development. I mean, the gap is getting closer and closer between the U.S. and other countries, and partly because we're not able to attract all the talent as we used to be able to. It's simple math. Great. So this 6,003 is fantastic. I'm excited.
My gripe is still, you just pluck in the pockets of everybody who's filing though, and it's already expensive enough to file for a green card.
And so the estimated recapture under 60,002 right now is between 250,000 to 500,000. Right?
Yeah.
And if that's on top of the current, what happened to the 280,000 that we have for next year? Does that include that?
Does it include the 280,000 we have?
Well, the 140,000 of it is the green card, and then the overflow. I think that's where the gray area is. Whether with the additional 140,000.
Does the overflow from other categories
is that
recapturable? Yeah.
140,000 plus the additional 80,000 from last year, so that's 240 by themselves. Those 240.
62,000 from last year, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, plus or minus, right?
We just got that update from Charlie.
Like our friend from last week, potato.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Fair
or
enough.
tomato.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. So that's it. Let's take questions, and we'll take your comments on the subject too, if you care to share your comments, and let's get some answer to some pressing questions our friends have.
Yes. See what we got. So if I use EAD, which got from EB3 I-40 application with my current employer, which was downgraded from EB2 to EB3, and stay with the current employer, and if EB2 gets current, can I switch to EB2? So yes.
So hold on. Use EAD, which got from EB application with my current employer, and stay with the current employer. But he's not telling you that he's on H-1B.
Well,
his H-1B. I'm assuming for that question, the H-1B expired.
Yeah. Well,
he cannot file an adjustment now.
It didn't say file adjustment. Can I switch to EB2? I think that's an interfiling question.
Okay, so let's answer it both ways.
Yes.
So can you interfile?
Yes.
Unless provided that
your priority date is current. Yeah.
Good.
Which is
yeah. So that's one part. The other part is you cannot file an adjustment.
You have to be maintaining your status in order to.
You have to be in status. Yes. Good question. Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, but this question continues.
All right. Or should I need to reapply for H-1B? There's no lottery if you have to reapply for H-1B.
Yeah.
So that answered the one in parentheses. And go for visa stamping and then apply for a whole perm process. No. We're not going to go down. You've gotten your labor certification.
Yeah.
No.
You don't need
that. You don't need any of that. But if you want to do a second adjustment, then you have to re-enter the U.S. And then
status,
and then file. Yeah.
Well,
but good question.
Yeah. So here we are. This is a different kind of question.
Right.
So hi, I'm in H1. It's okay to work from India, say 3 or 4 months for U.S. client, then return to the U.S. and continue working for the same client.
Well, I don't see a problem, but I don't see what is that a green? If it's a green card question, let's answer it on a green card question.
Yeah, this is a tricky question.
There's a 3. I'm going to take it 3 parts.
Wait. I gotta say, it's not a green card question. It says I'm in H1 right now, so
okay.
I'm in H1.
Okay, so I'm going to give it a very, very elaborate answer.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, U.S. immigration doesn't care if you leave the country, and so long as you're eligible,
especially for the same client.
Yeah, and if you have valid H1, you come back on H1B. They'll be happy to welcome you back.
How far can you take this 3 to 4 months? How about 6 to 8 months?
Again, you're on H1B. Is your H1B still
valid?
Yeah, your H1B still valid. The consulate folks, they might.
He has stamping.
They don't.
He has advanced parole.
Well, he has stamping.
I'll make it easy for you. Forget the counselor. Don't bring the counselor into the picture.
He's got Okay, fair enough. Okay, if you need a stamping, the consular folks are sometimes a little bit pushy about an old H-1B petition. Sometimes.
Yeah, but you can prove to them that you have a project.
Yeah, you give them a letter from the client, a letter from your employer. Sure.
You convince the consulate. Don't avoid the question. You go to the adjustment interview now. You've been outside the country for 14 months. And the employer says, "Yeah, I have a job for you here in the U.S."
You're going for an adjustment interview. You've been outside. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's gonna say, "What happened here? You're outside the country for the last 14 months." Then you have to show that a letter from the employer that you have a job here in the U.S. and explaining why you were outside the country, the purpose of it, explain it, because otherwise you're not going to say, none of your business, I've been outside the country and I'm going to get a green card now. And then also that the job opportunity now is in the U.S.
Yeah, that's what I worry about, getting questions like, hey, are you sure your job opportunities you just spent 13, 14 months outside the country? Are you sure your job opportunities in the U.S., not abroad?
You've been outside, well, of course, this question's 3 to 4 months. We made it 14 to 16
yeah,
months.
it's only on H1B, Sam.
But we're not going to send you out for 16 months. We're just taking the question to the next level because we would like to kind of tear a question. I don't believe that you can give an answer to a question with this 10-second videos. If you can answer every immigration question in 1 minute, why do you ever want to go to an experienced immigration lawyer? If everything takes 1 minute to learn, why would you want to listen to a 1 minute video and say, oh, I learned everything about the topic? Their issues are complicated and then it takes time, and that's why we take the time. But I would definitely have counsel. I would definitely bring counsel to the interview.
Well,
experienced counsel.
Yeah, but the big underlying issue is nothing kind of beats the advice and help of a good immigration attorney.
You need that. You need that in this case. All right, good question, and I'll give us a chance to do some follow-ups.
Yeah, let's check out. Looks like I got a priority date. So, hello, my priority date is July 2013. My child is 16 years. His age is locked. I'll take your word for it. When he gets his EAD, is it okay to use it? We may not get the green card until he turns 21. Wanted to know if it has any problems. He's good to go. He's allowed to use that EAD. I just say be very careful. I mean, 21's still a pretty long time away from him. Just be 100% sure that his ability to get a green card is locked in under the Child Status Protection Act. Because
you definitely need get a letter from an attorney. If an attorney, pay the money to get a letter from the attorney. Attorneys, by the way, will give you good, honest answer over the phone for free, but they give you a better, honest answer when you retain them because they will spend more time to answer the question, and even best answer when they have to put it in writing. Because attorneys, I'm gonna give you guys a secret here. Attorneys, when they put things in writing, they don't want that thing showing up 15 years later and they're wrong in their face. So get an attorney, pay for their service. I'm not advertising for us. Go get your attorney, whatever you are.
There's many attorneys.
There's a lot of great lawyers out there. Yes.
Analysis.
And ask them, what's the cost of putting it in writing for me? I need a letter analyzing it for me, and it's worth it, in my opinion. All right. Good advice?
Yeah. There we are. Oops. Oh, there we are. So when we use the AP, EB2 to EB3 downgrade and extend H1B after entry so as to maintain H1B with its same employer, can I switch back to EB2 when dates become current for EB2, not for EB3? Switch back everything. Switch back interfiling? Yeah. Switch back adjustment of status? Yeah. You have options at that point, and this is kind of something we're talking with a lot of people about lately. Yep. So we're covering a lot of topics today. So here we go. What's your prediction on EB2 movement over fiscal year 2022?
Well, it's not my prediction. It's my friend Charlie who is relieving us.
Yeah.
He said it's moving, a couple months at a time or less consistently.
Asterisk, there's a massive reconciliation bill recapture in here. Alternative Meng amendments.
The Meng amendment, you saw the face of our friend Charlie, completely concerned about the Meng amendment because everything's going to retrogress with the Meng amendment. He's extremely concerned about that, and if we get the
reconciliation bill,
it'll be wonderful. Yeah.
So anywhere from
and 6,003, you can pay $5,000 and get an adjustment. What a wonderful thing.
Makes your date mean nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anywhere from retrogression to massive movement forward. I'm still bullish on the reconciliation bill.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I guess I'm bruised by many years of disappointments.
Yeah. Well, I have generally speaking, my rule of thumb is, I don't believe it until I see it, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
So we got a question here. A person with H-1B status out a valid visa stamp uses APH to enter the United States. What's the status? Parolee. Now he goes to Mexico and returns on H-1 I-797, which is valid for automatic revalidation. What's his status?
H-1B.
Yeah, it's automatic revalidate. They validate when you've let your status.
So automatic revalidation, so people don't know what that is. You have to go, and there's a little bit of confusion on this because it is for F1 and M students. It's expanded to contiguous territories and the islands. But for automatic revalidation for H-1B visa is contiguous territories only, which is Mexico and Canada. So and the officers, by the way, they confuse it. Doesn't matter. Mexico. We'll stick to Mexico. You go to Mexico. You have to have had at least a stamp on your passport, even if it's expired, and even if it's in a different visa, like an F1 or a B visa.
They don't care.
No, okay. So at least you've been stamped a visa before. You have to have valid I-797 and I-94, and then you come back. You're back on H-1B visa.
Yeah.
No problem, and you're not a parolee anymore.
Unless
you make a request. If you go to there are two exceptions here that you should be aware of. One, if you make a request at the consulate for a visa,
you get denied. Yeah.
Well, no, even if
you're right.
Even if you get, it doesn't matter. You cannot come back on automatic. The moment you make a request at the consulate, now you cannot make an automatic revalidation. And the second exception is certain countries are not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So there are some rules on that. But that's the answer to your question.
Yeah, check your I-94 when you come back for your definitive answer, huh?
They wave you in. They don't even stamp you something. That's a problem.
Yes,
that's the problem. Yeah, they don't. They just basically wave you in, and you want to have your evidence that you were inspected or something. If you can get them to stamp it, ask them, please, can you stamp my passport? I really appreciate it. That would be wonderful.
Yeah,
and that because it shows the inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what else do we got next? So, how quickly will interfiling and refiling cases be adjudicated? How soon can interfiling and refiling impact EB2 forward movement? Well,
how quickly will interfiling and refiling cases be adjudicated? How quickly? Well, it takes 80 minutes on average for USCIS to process an adjustment status. But I'm not sure that's your question.
I'm thinking basically the question is, I interfile my EB3 case to the EB2 category, so my priority is current and EB2. How fast will it take?
And that's the problem we have with it. We don't have answers to these things.
Yeah, we have done a couple of interfiling requests, and we're not hearing anything on them.
Now, USCIS loves those interfiling, and they seem to want you to do an interfiling than to file another adjustment, but it's absolutely legal to do another adjustment. But because their system is not set up for how to handle it. Be that as it may, we don't have any information on interfiling. You have to call the service, the help desk, and see if they can acknowledge that for you, which is a problem. So we really don't have good answers for that. But normally, on average, it should take about 2 to 3 months, I think. And it's discretionary, by the way. And if they don't exercise the discretion, they don't tell you.
Yeah. I guess the other half of this question is a refiling. How quickly will that be? That's a fresh adjustment. That's the kind of problem. You put yourselves back at the
you get a receipt notice.
You put yourself back at the beginning of the adjustment processing timeline. The average processing times are like 10 to 24 or 45 months or whatever they say based upon the various service centers. So that's, I know a lot of people have gotten their green cards in 10 months based upon about 10 months based upon their priority date being current. So that's good, but there's no guarantee in that either.
Right.
But ultimately you put yourself you have 2 horses in the race, I guess.
Yep.
Is the point of it.
Yep.
So I like this comment. We need a midnight watch party for the.
Hey, sounds good. I like it.
I don't know if I want to be watching C-SPAN at midnight. I don't think that'll keep me awake, Sam. C-SPAN, that's the channel.
Well, for me at home, I'll be doing something else. I'll be probably being either on a treadmill or on a cycle or something, watching it, because I'm not the kind of guy that can sit. So I'll be active down in the lower level, and hopefully I don't blast the music too loud to get people mad at me upstairs. And you're right, it will be no alcohol until after the good news.
Yeah, yes.
Then we'll open the champagne.
Okay, I'm going to keep on going here through these questions. So if we have I-45 and I-140 filed concurrently and pending, and a company gets acquired, what will happen to the I-45? And we assume I-140 will need amendment. A great question.
Well, first of all, to me, if the I-485 has been pending for more than 6 months, it's a lot simpler scenario than less than 6 months.
Yeah.
Because a new 6 months, and let's assume the acquiring company did not keep the company intact, and therefore, and did not provide a good.
Yeah.
Let's
hope it's more than 6 months.
Did not assume the assets and liabilities, right?
You got some trouble.
Unless it's 180 days,
Yeah,
in
180
which case you can do supplement J and move on.
Yeah.
And less than 180 days, then you want to hope that the company has assumed assets and liabilities.
Why, Sam? Because you have to do a successor in interest, I-140, basically, and then the
An
new,
amendment, as he said.
Yeah, an amendment. Essentially, the new company has to basically pick up your old I-140 and send a new filing to the government saying, this is our guy. We still support this I-140. We have the ability to pay for this I-140, and we assume what was that old company that did it? Yeah,
Yes.
in the right way. Anyway.
Yes. So that's the answer. And if that has not happened, let's assume the company did not assume assets and liabilities, acquired it on month number 3. All you do is wait 3 more months. I mean, you'll be nervous, but an RFE time with COVID is 3 months.
Yeah.
So you can string it out.
Yeah.
And then file for supplement J after you hit the 180 days.
Yeah. And
So
you're kind of at the mercy of the government as to what they're going to do with you on that one.
yeah. But I mean, more likely than not, you can work it out. Yeah, I agree.
So here we are.
I got a comment here. I'd like to see it here from about the 10,000.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's bring comments in.
So hi, Sam. Hi, Sam. Looking at the slides from Charlie, he shows the total applicants in EB3 is 90K per October final action dates, which include the 55K from ROW. I'll figure out what that means in a minute. Only 35,000 applicants from India and China. So rest of 55K from rest of world. Oh, I remember this. So he's referring to Charlie's Charlie's charts.
So that's one of the things he explained, the retrogression. He said it's retrogress because USCIS has processed so many cases and they approved so many cases for other countries, thus depleting the available visas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a soundbite, is a number on the screen. So obviously, everything has more details in it than just a moment, 10 seconds information. But the rest of the world ratio to India, I think probably should be the other way around because of the number of backlog.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a questionable thing. But for me, I honestly don't want to. I mean, I need to see more data to see why and what happened. How come only 35K from India and 55? Obviously, 55 rest of the world, also China.
Yeah.
So that's another. China is about 1/3 of India. So that's, let's say, $10,000. So shave 10,000 of the 55K to China. So you have 45K rest of the world, and 45K China and India. Still a little bit, off by 10,000 maybe. But yeah, I mean, I can see why people are upset about that.
Yeah, he really did a good job of illustrating how slowly the visas are handed out. How many?
I didn't want to bring this up, but obviously he sounded defensive, and that's why he wanted to show some numbers. And I think the numbers were trying to defend his decisions because obviously a lot of people questioned him last time. So he did the best he can to explain his position. He's retired now.
Yeah, there's a little bit of So, but everybody, China and India, and they get about 5,000 each year, and the rest of the world gets their 55,000. That's the rest of the world. Every country gets 7% of the allocation, and there's 55,000 that are used by everybody else. 13K left over goes to the people in the oldest category, oldest priority date first, most likely India. So why are the dates?
He's estimated 66,000 or so. I forget the number. He estimated a big number going for the 50,000 or something for the rest of the world. And then he said what's left is 13,000, and he's gonna, he has discretion, and his calculation definitely can be improved, in my opinion. But he's moved on. Now other people are going to come in, and hopefully they'll have a better system that is more reflective of what's going to happen. A couple more questions, Brian.
Yeah, sure. Let's see what we got here. So I have a pending H-4 EAD in the California Service Center. Can I reapply my H-4 and EAD with an H-1B transfer that my spouse will file soon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. With the way it's taking forever, why not?
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
Outside chance, they can tell you.
Withdraw one.
They can tell you no. Yeah, they can send you an RFE saying, no, you can't put two in. But
why can you not put two in? One is taking 16 years and the one is taking 16 months.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt the cost for filing H-4 EAD, $410.
Not ideal, but in the current situation, I mean, obviously, you're adding insult to injury by burying the agency with more paperwork, and they're buried with, you're sending more applications, more double applications, but you're paying the fee. And worst case scenario, you're going to say you have another pending application. That's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I would do it.
I'll bring this one up. That's a immigration medical is eligible under health savings account expense. You familiar with these, Sam?
I am familiar with the health savings account expense. It's an excellent question. I am not expert, but it sounds to me it should 100%.
Yeah.
You know who will tell you? The doctor. Hand him your HSA credit card. Hand him your HSA credit card and pay for it. He's a doctor. Why would it not be a medical expense? I mean, it doesn't matter. It could be also tax deductible as a business expense potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think my big answer is check the terms of your HSA account. But I remember there's just
Well, that's a legal answer that doesn't give the answer. Check
well,
the terms
I don't know.
conditions.
There's a lot of probably a lot of varieties of HSA accounts out there as well, Sam.
Well, health savings account, anything related to health. I mean, it's very expensive. Anything related to health. I mean, clearly it's related to his health.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a doctor testing him and charging him money for tests. What else? I mean, what is more health saving related? I mean, what's the worst case scenario? They're going to say, oh, you should not have paid out of your HSA. Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly,
you'll pay yourself back from the other.
It's a good faith. It's a good faith area if it is. But I don't have a decisive answer for you.
Yeah.
But if I were you, I would definitely.
It's an interesting question for sure.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
Let's see what else we got. So, have you received any I-45 approvals for applications filed on October/November 2020 in the Texas Service Center?
Well, everybody's mad at the Texas Service Center for the delays. They are the slowest right now. I don't have a memory to kind of look at that. Do you remember?
I believe so, but I just can't think of anybody off the top of my head. I was going to try to make a sneaky, cheeky peek into our files here to see if I could find any, but I don't have access to that drive on this computer.
Yeah. I don't have an answer. I wish I have an answer for that.
I believe so. I mean, well, here's the kind of.
I mean, can you imagine?
Texas hasn't approved any. They're approving some.
Well, I mean, Texas have approved them. Can you imagine the backlog if they pass these two legislations with the Texas Service Center? That's a problem that needs to be resolved. To be honest with you, but with the payment of $5,000, they're going to even get buried more. I mean.
We were getting I-45 receipt notices from October into March of 2021. So yeah, and again, it's about you'll have 3 years worth of employment-based visas available. That's going to be they won't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean the backlog is going to be massive. I mean, obviously you're just you're moving the problem downstream. I would assume that with time, USCIS will hire enough people to make up for that workload. But that's not going to be resolved overnight.
Well,
It's just
yeah.
like, we have
You got to train up those people too.
Yeah. Just like the travel ban, just everybody high-fiving. They lifted the travel ban as of the 8th of November, I believe.
Yeah.
And everybody's high-fiving, but we all know and there's no immediate impact to getting a visa at the consulates right now because they're only accepting emergency appointments.
Yeah.
And with countries that has a lot of COVID,
Yeah, the consulates are effective. I mean, I check out India. Basically, most offices are entire emergency appointments only, and I keep on hearing anecdotally. Yeah, I was able to get an appointment, but I had to travel 2 days across the country in order to get it.
yes.
Yeah.
But with the adjustment approval, I think you're going to get movement, but don't expect green cards to be in your pocket quicker than now for, I'd say, 6 months to a year after that. But it's a definitely step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited about Thursday. It's almost like a Super Bowl for me. We have the House going to vote on the two most impacting, employment-based impacting, and family-based. By the way, it has a lot of good stuff for family-based.
Yeah, they're gonna get back some numbers as well. That chart, that chart in there had I'm gonna put up that chart again for a split second, Sam, because
it is a massive consequences in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna put up that chart again. There we are, and there's the chart. The reconciliation bill, 260,000, 421,000 on the high end, not too shabby.
Now that is going to take forever. I mean, consulates are ramping up, but not in any way.
Yeah, and I mean, we have family cases that have been stuck at the consulate since the beginning of this year, and they're not moving.
And it's not going to touch the F4 family, the F4 brothers and sisters of U.S. citizen. It's 65,000 green cards allocated a year, and right now there is 2 million applications in the backlog.
Yeah,
that is not going to touch that.
Well, it'll put a nick in it. Give me more. Well, that's I won't get into too deep into it, but there's also a kind of in Section 7003. There's a similar provision like the super fee, the 5,000 fee. There's a family-based super fee as well. However, that applies to filing for adjustment of status. And it's really hard to file for family-based adjustment of status for a lot of categories because you have to be in the United States to file for adjustment of status. It's tough. It's kind of like it's nice to have, but it's not going to help that many people out. Skipping the line like that.
And normally, it's the filing is for spouse of U.S. citizen.
Yeah, and their immediate relatives, they get it. Yeah, they get it immediately. Yeah.
So unless your brother or sister in the U.S. are here on a different visa.
Yeah, with a priority date that's appropriate. Yeah.
And you can pay the money and boom. So, but it'll be a lot of good things will be happening. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. So
knocking on wood.
So subscribe, you guys, because we're gonna be going. And if we know when the time is going to be announced, we will give you.
Make sure my hair is straight and my coffee is pre-prepared. Yes.
Yeah, I will give you advance notice, but it may be a situation we'll just send a notice and then go live in the next 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know about doing a watch party though. I can't imagine C-SPAN. Oh, one yay, one nay.
Well,
people milling around the floor.
The party is when the president signs it.
Yeah.
We will have to talk with our audience about what shall we do the day the president signs it, which is not going to happen this week.
I think we can put up a poll on YouTube now. I think we have the means. We'll have to ask about that. Yeah.
Okay, and see what we can do because this is it'll be an amazing day.
Yeah, we haven't quite hit 7 o'clock yet. I got a couple good questions left here. Let's hit them. So, is employment-based green card based upon country of birth or citizenship? Country of birth, unfortunately, your country of birth, or if you have a spouse, there's a concept called cross-chargeability. So you're able to use your spouse's country of birth. Yeah. So, I mean, I can think of a lot of folks who have beaten the India backlog, for example, by virtue of the fact that they say, my dad, when I was born, my dad was working in the Middle East. He was working in Saudi Arabia or Iraq, and then you get
the green card and then took off, no problem. Yeah. Or Saudi Arabia or somewhere.
Yeah, you get to be in the Saudi Arabia line versus the India line, which is a lot shorter.
Yes, which is a huge advantage.
Yeah.
But few and far in between.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can think.
Or if your wife was born.
I can think. I remember a young fellow who was an Indian employment-based guy here in the United States, and he was just living here in the U.S. doing his job, and he met a lady from Colombia, and they got together as she was here as a student. They got together. She got to hop on his employment-based green card, and he got to jump in the Colombia line, and they're happily ever after out there somewhere.
Yes, yes. And what about our friend from Kuwait? Was born in Kuwait.
Yeah.
We had a little difficulty getting his
Proving it.
because a lot of these places got burned in the war, but he was able to find it and prove it.
Yeah.
And got his green card.
Yeah.
Yes. Passing the clock, 7:01. Thank you guys for your time, and we will see you guys Thursday night. Subscribe to get your notification.
Thanks, everybody.